Hello, everyone. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Joe. Joe is from Seattle in Washington in the USA. So let's see what Joe has to say. Enjoy the interview.
Hello.
Hello, Joe. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well. Thanks so much for taking the time today for the interview. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for interviewing me.
Look, before we start, is your name Joe or Joey?
Joel.
Joe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me, how's your day going so far?
Pretty good. Slept in a little bit, stayed up a little bit too late last night, but doing good. It's only noon here, but yeah, I got up a couple hours ago.
Do you consider yourself to be more of a day or night person?
Definitely night owl. I really like nighttime. Yeah. It's just I feel the most like creative during that time and I have the most focus during that time. Takes me a while to get up.
Amazing. So you mentioned that you're from Seattle.
Yes. Yeah.
Born and raised?
Uh, kind of. I was actually born in California. Funny story. I was born during an active earthquake. So, um, my mom was in labor while the earthquake was happening, and like everything was shaking when I was born. So it was like, "Hello, I'm here." Apparently. Yeah. But then when I was about one, we moved up to Washington State, and we moved to a town called Kashmir, Washington, which is this like very small town in central Washington. And then from there, I moved to Florida. Then I moved up to Washington again, and yeah, now live in the Seattle area.
Amazing. And all your family as well are based in Seattle?
Yeah, so we all grew up there. My brother lives in Montana. I have one brother and one sister. My sister lives in a place called Sela, which is near a place called Yakima. It's sort of central Washington, yeah. Um, but yeah, we're all close.
Amazing. And what do you do for work, for living?
For me, I am a character designer. So I've been working in video games for most of my career, but recently switched to the animation field. So I'm working on a television show. It's an animated show on Netflix. It's coming out on Netflix. It's called Tomb
Wow.
Raider. Yeah.
Wow. So walk me through a little bit about your career as a character illustrator.
Yeah. So my sort of job entitles like designing characters. So any characters that you see need to be designed by somebody, even the ones that exist already. So like with Lara Croft, the show that I'm working on, there's a lot of characters that exist already, but we still need to design them in the style that we're going to be doing our show.
Mhm.
So kind of working on that right now and creating new characters for the story that we're doing. Um, and for video games, it's pretty much the same thing. I worked on, gosh, how many video games have I worked on? Five or so. But designing characters is a really fun time. You get to be really creative, especially if it's a new thing that you're making that doesn't
Mhm.
already exist. You get to kind of create it from scratch, and I really like that.
Wow.
It's a very taxing process at sometimes because you're putting all of this creativity out to be like juried and judged, and you're going to get changes made, and your babies will change, but
Wow.
it's fine. But yeah, it can be tiring, but it's really rewarding work when you see it on screen or when you see it in a video game and you're like, oh, I made that. It's really
Amazing.
cool.
I think when you do something that you love, that you have passion, it just flows naturally.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely.
Amazing. Okay, Joe, before we start our journey within the
Yes.
magic box, I would you like to tell me something interesting about yourself?
Oh, okay. Something kind of I feel like is unique to me is that when I was let's see, it was like 19, I moved to Florida and worked for Disney World. I was there for 3 years and I started in merchandise, and then I one of my passions was like really wanting to be a character actor. So I went down there trying to get Aladdin, and I worked in merchandise for a year, and then it's like hopefully I can get it this year. Went to audition for Jack Sparrow. because I was not getting the Aladdin initially, and I was like, okay, well, I'll go to Jack Sparrow, see if I can do that. Um, and then the casting director didn't call my name, and then so I went up to her and I was asking her like, oh, did you call my name, like just trying to be like a little bit like, oh, notice me a little bit. And she was like, no, I didn't call your name, but have you ever been like tested for Aladdin? I was like, oh, no, I have not. How interesting.
Oh my God.
So I got able to be in this room full of Jack Sparrows, and I was Aladdin in the middle. I was just like trying to test for it. And
Wow.
yeah, and I got the part for the subsequent 2 years that I was there. It was really
Oh
cool.
my God. What a beautiful story, Joe. My goodness.
It's really
Wow.
fun.
Wow. I'm gonna tell a fun fact as well. Actually, I used to work for Disney as well.
Did you?
Yeah,
What park?
but there's a but.
Okay.
I worked for Disney Cruise Line, so I was working
Okay.
Disney Dream.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
this was 2016. I
yeah.
applied 2016, and funny enough, when I applied for to work in a cruise ship, I sent my CV everywhere, and Disney, I got a call from Disney, and when they called me, because in Europe, the office,
Yeah.
who hire people in Europe is based in Paris.
Okay.
For some reason, I thought, oh, they're gonna hire me to work in Disneyland in
Paris.
Paris.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. So I had an interview on Skype. I think I don't remember. I had like few interviews, and when I started getting to know a little bit more about the job, and when they
Mhm.
sent me the contract with all the information, I said, oh my God, I'm going to Florida. I'm going to Florida. So that's
You were
how.
not prepared.
Yes, I was like, oh my God, I was expecting that, but oh
Mhm.
my God, I'll tell you, I did just one contract, yeah,
Mhm.
and it was one of the best memories, the
Oh,
best
fun.
experience. Oh my goodness, I
Yeah.
remember we spent 3 days, in the parks, like, sorry, 3 days, like, get to know the park. We had the
Yeah.
induction, you had you went to the parks, and the funny thing is, actually growing up back in Brazil, I never thought one day I would work for Disney World. Anyway, start
Yeah.
from. And the second part is, I never thought one day I would see behind the scenes, as you know very well, behind the
Hmm.
scene, like
Yep.
underground.
The tunnel. Yep.
Oh, tunnel, yes. And I'm like, oh my God, that's
Yeah.
it's just who works for Disney have the access to those areas. And I was
It's
like,
it's
oh my God,
fascinating.
it's fascinating. I remember
Yeah.
like people in this corridor, people passing by, like running around, with their
Hmm.
characters and everything. I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
that's where the magic happens outside. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
For sure.
It
For
it
sure.
was one of the best experience in my life. I'll never forget. Amazing.
Yeah. Actually, just a quick side. I actually went to Disneyland Paris for the first time this last year in November. Yeah, it
Right.
was really cool over there. I don't know if you've ever been, but I really like
No,
the castle over there. It's really cool.
it's
Big
funny.
Disney nerd.
It's funny because I always tell my friends, with Disney World, there are no plan B, just plan A. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I learned how to. I thought I was disciplined, like a disciplined person, but I learned
Mhm.
how to be like literally in Disney. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Work for
Yeah.
Disney.
Yeah.
It was like a beautiful experience. You know what I mean? It's like it's great. I could be here like another 2 hours just talking about my
I
experience
know. Me
with
too.
Disney.
So many stories.
Joe, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and to share your point of views?
Sure. I guess. Let's go.
Amazing. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So I've got him. Friend, okay, full of wonderful questions. I'm just gonna play a song now, just for us to relax a bit before the first question. Okay?
Okay. No
let's do,
worries.
let's do it. All right. Okay, Joe. So before we start the game, during the journey, if it comes up a question that you don't want to talk about for some reason, you don't want to answer, always can change. Okay?
Okay.
Right. First question for you is: if you could change something in yourself or about yourself, what that would be and why?
It's a tough question. I feel like all of my life I've very easily had answers for this question. Like I wasn't fit enough. I wasn't my skin wasn't clear enough, my teeth weren't straight enough, my smile wasn't this, wasn't that, my nose was this, was that. But honestly, today, I mean, with a lot of therapy, but today I've been like, you know what? I don't want to change anything anymore. Like I've kind of stopped chasing other people's perfection, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to just accept everything that I have and everything that I am, because there's a lot of beautiful things about me. So, um, I guess if I had to answer, okay, I do have one answer. I have stomach problems pretty easily, so I have pretty big sensitivities to a lot of different foods. And I think that if I had a magic wand and could change anything, that would probably be the thing I could go to, is more fortitude on my stomach.
I love your answer. I think you said everything, about accepting yourself.
Yeah.
The world we live, there are so many stereotypes out there that there does
Yes.
exist. It just in our head, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. I think when you realize that there are always a unique beauty about ourselves, it's like you take this thing from your shoulders, isn't it? Like, oh my God,
Yeah.
why did I know that like for so long? Like it makes a
You
big
don't have to
difference.
chase. You don't have to chase it. It's just you are okay the way you are. Yeah.
And saying that, what's the best part of being Joe? What's the biggest joy of being yourself, in your opinion?
I would say discovery. Like I love learning, and I've always loved that about myself. I've always asked more questions and made more statements, because I think that the smartest person in the room is the person that asks more questions, because they're learning more than anybody else that says, I know what this is, I know what I'm talking about. So I think for that reason, I've really liked that about myself. I always liked to ask questions when I'm doing arts or learning new processes, or seeing what other artists do. I ask questions in my philosophical life. I'm always asking, what's out there, or what do we say about certain things in religion, or who's got it right. But yeah, just probably questions, discovery.
I think being curious, it's
Yeah.
fascinating. It's fascinating. Next question. Let's do it. Hey Joe from Seattle. Next question is, what makes you really angry?
Ooh. Kind of in tandem with the last thing, people that think they know better than other people.
Mhm.
um I come from a pretty conservative family. My dad was a pastor and my mom was a secretary for a church. I love them and we were good now, but they really thought that they knew how I should be, who I should be. And I learned pretty early on that people who think they know better than other people are usually the ones that are the most wrong. So yeah, that always makes me angry. And I see it a lot on like every social media site, people always telling other people how to act or how to be. And yeah, it always just frustrates me. Because we need to be kinder. We need to be
Yeah,
kinder to each other. We need to give people a little bit more grace. Obviously, there's people that are doing terrible things in the world, and those people should be held accountable. But yeah, we need to not jump at everybody just as fast as we do, I think.
tell me something. How was for you growing up? I believe you are a gay guy, aren't you?
Yes, yes, I am
Tell
gay.
tell me how was for you growing up as a gay boy. Walk me through a little bit about your experience, and you mentioned already about your parents
Yeah.
related with the religion, the
Yes.
church. So walk me through a little bit about your experience.
Yeah, sure. Like growing up, I went to church every Sunday. We weren't like we were non-denominational Christian, so kind of like not specific, but um, church every Sunday. Obviously my dad was a pastor, and so it was pretty clear early on that there was a lot of judgment on difference, and I learned that and internally growing up. Around sixth grade is when I had my first crush on a guy. Um, and I remember in school, he had, around sixth grade, you start kind of like getting girlfriends and boyfriends or whatever. And um, I remember he had gotten a girlfriend, and I was so mad at her. I think I actually pulled her hair at one point because I was like, you're taking this from me. He was my friend too. So yeah,
Oh,
it was messy. But but yeah, I learned pretty quick in that year actually, because there was a girl that liked me, and we started dating, and I went to her birthday party one time, and you do like the go in the closet for 7 minutes or whatever, and I remember her kissing me, and I just felt nothing. Like I was like, I don't. And she broke up with me like the week later because she was like, I don't think you like me, and I was like,
Oh,
no, I totally do. um, so fast forward to around sophomore year is when I would say that I really kind of knew that I was different. I would be looking at adult websites, and this is when the internet just started. So I was like kind of looking and getting caught very easily. Definitely gravitated towards a certain type of person. And yeah, it did not go over well. I would say that it was a very tough time in my life because I was depressed, I was, anxious, I was emotional. I had all these things and I was alone. Like there was nobody at that time. Like I love that kids now have all of this stuff that they can turn to like see themselves represented. But in my life, all we had was like Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, or like the designers on Project Runway or something. Like those are the only role models that I had to look up to in like the gay world that I knew about and that I had access to. Obviously, my parents tried to keep me away from a lot of things. Um, so yeah, it did not go over well. My dad was angry. I was at one point threatened conversion therapy. Um, it I told my sister first. She didn't really understand, but she was, gracious about it. I just told my mom, and then it was like every day going home after school, it would be tears. It would be, you know, uh, just totally upset about everything that was going to happen in my life. Mostly, it was out of fear. I would say I don't think that they ever didn't love me or anything like that, but it was their fear of like this life that I was going to live that was going to be very difficult. I mean, they're coming out of, AIDS crisis. They're coming out of all of these things that they saw on the news about people dying horrible ways or getting assaulted, and it was scary for them. So I understood that. I mean, not at the time, but now I do. And yeah, it was really really difficult. I didn't have a good relationship with my dad. Um, I, once I moved to Florida, we were still not talking.
mhm.
Around, I would say the second year I was down there, maybe he just kind of was messaging me and said, "Oh, I want to have a relationship with you no matter what, and I love you and accept you and all of that stuff." So it was really sweet. Like he kind of came to his senses after that. But it was a really difficult time. Um, and we're okay now, but I still, see a lot of fear that they have about other things, and it can get frustrating because it's like, oh, you know that like things can be different. You know that people aren't as as they always present. You've learned more about the depth of humanity, and it's surprising for you to just kind of go back to that fear-based mindset. But whatever.
Nowadays, which person in your family you are more close to?
My mom still. I've always been more close to her.
Mhm.
Um, she's always been kinder. My dad. I feel like I'm dragging him right now, but he was very short fused, very
Mhm.
sensitive person. Like it was a very fearful household. Like he would get into fist fights with my brother. Like it was a scary time for me, and he's calmed down a lot, but I wasn't able to form a bond with him very early on, or really ever. I mean, we're closer, but I don't know if we can ever get to like as close as my mom and I. Um, yeah,
Thanks for sharing these personal events. And
yeah,
if you're saying that, because literally I went through the same as well. Not because
yeah.
being gay, but I remember as well my dad. He was short. He didn't have much patience. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And sometimes he was very aggressive the way he was talking
Yeah,
to my mom. And that for me, I remember like my heart was like dum dum dum. I couldn't
yeah,
relax. You know what I mean? I didn't
yeah.
know what to do. I didn't know. And every day when he was coming back home, I just couldn't relax if I knew
Mhm.
that he was calm, that he was like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, in a good place. Because if I had a guess that he wouldn't be upset for some reason, something. Oh my God, I
Yeah.
started getting anxious already, and I couldn't
Yeah.
relax anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, childhood memories. I think we
Yeah.
will always be grateful for that as well, because somehow built the person we are today, and I think we are happy the way
Yeah.
that we are. There are traumas, of course. We have traumas, but
Right.
in the end of the day, we just we learn of that, and sometimes
Yeah.
make us stronger, and we are more understanding as well, and we feel more
Absolutely.
kind as well in situations because we went through that. So
Yeah.
we somehow understand those things. So yeah.
Yeah.
Next question. Let's do it.
Sure.
Right. Okay, Joe, before the next question, tell me what you like the most about your job. Being an illustrator, being a character designer, tell me what's the biggest joy of it. And I'm sure there's always a challenge in the flip side, something that you find very challenging in your
Yes.
in your career.
I love creating, like, wow. So I grew up playing games. That was my outlet, kind of to go along with, my trauma. But like I used games as like this way out of to like these fantasy worlds. Wasn't much of a reader, so growing up, I really enjoyed games like Final Fantasy and well, just RPGs in general. So there was these really complex characters that had these beautiful artworks, and I remember looking at them and thinking, I wish I could like I would draw them and sketch them all the time growing up, and I think I just really like creating fantasy worlds. Like I really like creating cool characters that feel deep and complex. But recently, I've also really enjoyed creating characters that I don't see a lot. Like I've been trying to get into this place of like when I design some character, like have I seen this before? Is is there a chance that I can kind of put a representation that I haven't seen before, or like an angle that I haven't seen before on this character? I try to change it up a little bit because I find, you know, the most interesting things in my history are the ones that stood out, the weirdos, I guess, in a way. So I try to kind of bring some of that in there. Yeah, I think just like I really love fashion. I really love, magic. So there's characters that I've been designing that have like elemental magic, and so that's really exciting to me. Yeah, I don't know. I really like the challenge of like, can you come up with something cool and interesting based on like a prompt, even like I need this red-haired character and she needs to be strong or whatever. And I'm like, okay, there's like 30 different things I can do with this. Like, let me see what comes together. And it's always not exactly what I thought it was gonna be when I start. It always changes throughout the process, but I'm always excited to see what the end result is.
And the flip side, what do you find most challenging?
Perspective. Anatomy can be tough sometimes. Like lately, I've been trying to focus on getting for my show. We have to have a really strict style guideline. Throughout my history in this job, I was a concept artist before, so you were allowed to be really messy and like really free with like proportions and creativity and all of that stuff. And for this, I have to be very disciplined in structures in anatomies. So I feel like that's been the hardest thing for me, to kind of get um, my head around. Like, so I was recently diagnosed with ADHD, which I've learned a lot recently about it. But one of the things is that, you know, my brain processes things very quickly. So I can do really quick, like sketches, really quick, like rough ideas that are very good. But getting to like the nitty gritty details of stuff has been always really, really challenging for me. I'll get to like hour two and I'll be working on a piece and I'm like, okay, I hate this. I gotta go. Like I have to like do something else. I have to go play a video game. I have to like, yeah, I have to change things up. So yeah, I've been learning with a little bit of medication. I've been learning that, you know, I can actually focus on stuff. And I'm actually, yeah, I'm really happy with my progress, but it's been a tough road, I would say.
All right. Next question for you is, how would you like to be remembered in life?
That's a tough question. I've been trying to think about that, but I honestly don't know if I know an answer. Like I want to be remembered as somebody who tried to put kindness into the world, put color into the world, put like love into the world. Um, I have my account on Instagram that I post my gay artwork, and I hope that I'm remembered for that too. I think that was a scary thing for a while to be associated with. Trauma obviously kind of makes that connection difficult sometimes, but um, I hope that I'm remembered for it, and I hope that people look at my artwork in the future and think, oh, that was like a person who really wanted to just put goodness out. Yeah.
Yeah, I was checking out your account and I was like, wow, that's very talented. I could see all the, yeah, absolutely. I was like, I spent some time there just like screwing up and seeing the art. I was like, that's interesting. Good one. Next question, let's do it.
All right.
All right, next question is, let's pretend now that you have the whole attention of the president of the United States. You have just you and him. You are FaceTime the president right now, and you can give just one advice. He got all his attention, and you can give just one advice for him. What would you say?
I would say make actions happen before you need them for voting. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like things are planned in such a way sometimes. I mean, obviously, politics gets in the way of everything, but sometimes I feel like things are put off to a certain point so that re-election can happen and people are more interested in the issue at that time. But change needs to happen, as soon as you're able to do it. Like, I would hope, and maybe I don't know enough, but I would hope that if I were to be able to talk to him, I would present some issues like student loans and all these other things, which I know he's tried, and in this state or in this country anyway. But yeah, just try to make the change happen as soon as you can with as much power as you can, because that's what's really gonna get you trust of people, and continue not stooping to certain levels of other parties.
There you go. The message is sent out there. Imagine if this message get to him somehow. Imagine. You never know. Imagine.
It'd be nice.
Ready for another one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Next question. Right. Before the next question, tell me what's the best part of living in Seattle? What's the biggest joy of it? Tell me, let's say I come to Seattle for the very first time. What's the must? What's the postcard of Seattle City?
Greenery. There's so much greenery here. And I went to London in November, and it's actually a very similar, there's a very similar climate, I would say, to London. Right. It's a lot of rain, there's a lot of cloudy days, but when it's sunny and it's green, it is so beautiful. Like the nature over here, I just fall in love with it, because there's mountains on all sides of you pretty much. There's a beautiful sea. There's trees, so many trees, which, it's just, if you love nature, it's the place to go, for sure.
And how is the gay scene in Seattle? Do you feel like you can be yourself? You can express the way you are?
It depends on which pocket, I would say, you're in. Like, I'm a little bit outside of Seattle, and I'm in a town that is kind of growing, and so I do see more and more queer representation in this smaller town, side town. But within Seattle, I would say you can walk around freely without fear. We have pride parades, and those are so busy. We have a bunch of bars, and they're all very accepting, inclusive. There's another actually area south of Seattle that I've been going to. It's called White Center, and which is kind of a weird name to be, but there's a place called Lumber Yard there that we've been going to. It's a bar, and I showed my artwork there. They put some artwork up, and I got to sell some artwork there. And there's a growing community down there as well. And so I'm seeing these little pockets, I guess, kind of rise and outside of Seattle too, which is making me happy. Even when I visited my sister, which is a very conservative area, there's a growing gay population there even. So I do think we're out there, we're, spreading around, which is a good idea. It'll help with voting. and, um, and it's good to educate people. Like I always think that the people who are most scared just don't know you yet, or don't know how it works yet,
Yeah.
or the kindness that you can have, or the acceptance you can have. So I think that's something I'm really excited to see more and more of. And yeah, Seattle's a great place for that. Like, we've always been a liberal city, so it's good.
Amazing. Next question for you is, what is the biggest prize you ever won?
Ooh. Two answers, I guess.
Okay.
First one is yes, when I got Aladdin. That was a big prize for me.
Oh my God,
I
of
wanted that
course.
so bad. I was so obsessed with it, and then got to do the job, which was so rewarding. Like
Wow.
these little kids that you would meet, and they're just so excited or scared to see the characters in real life. And there was one girl I remember, she was maybe 7 or 6. She came up and she was so excited. She didn't even want to see Jasmine. She just wanted to see Aladdin because we were do sets together.
Right.
And she had this plastic loaf of bread, and she was like, I just want you to have this. And I was like, oh my God, I have bread now. Like this, just like the movie. It was so sweet. And I just one of the other cool things that I got to do was we would ride. There's I'm sure you remember, but there's an Aladdin magic carpet ride in Adventureland. So when I started my day, I would actually run out, and we would take Jasmine and I would each take a kid, and we would ride the ride with them, and it's just like so rewarding.
Oh my God, such an amazing. I can picture yourself doing those things. You know what I mean? It's such a, again, just working for this, you can understand how it's powerful to know the energy. It's just
special.
amazing. Yeah, it's special. Yeah, it's special.
The other prize is my partner.
Oh
Yeah, I mean, I was it was really difficult for me, like having relationships in Florida. It was really difficult. I come from this conservative background, obviously, and so the like sort of fluidity of sexuality that was down there always made me like kind of, I had a hard time. And people were young down, like when I was there, I was in my early 20s, and people were like kind of sleeping around, and I definitely had a lot of people cheat before. So I had a lot of trust issues as well. And when I met my partner, we've been together for 13 years.
oh my
Yeah.
God. Wow.
Yeah,
When you start saying my
together for a
partner,
while.
I was expecting like, oh, maybe you just met him like last year or 2 years, but 13.
13
Wow.
years, yeah. We met on OkCupid when that was still a thing people did. um, and and yeah, he had this like weird obscure video game on his profile, and I was like, oh my gosh, I played that game. Like I know exactly what he's talking about, and nobody else knows what we're talking about. And it's like weird Japanese like game that where you like are like a weird magician in Scotland, and you're going through these like fantasy realms. And I was like, this is so cool. He has this on his profile. So he was dating somebody at the time, and I was like making sure to like, hey, like hang out or whatever. And I found out that he actually went to the same school as me.
Oh,
So, I was like kind of eyeing the computer labs to see if I would see him at some point, and I did. So I went over, said hi, and like talked to him for a bit. And I feel like maybe like 2 weeks after I started messaging him, he was like, well, I broke up with my boyfriend. So which I feel kind of bad about, but at the same time, I was like, no, he's this is the right person for me. So yeah, we went on a date, and I was so, every date that I've been on in my life, I've always been really nervous. Like my stomach would have butterflies, and I wouldn't be able to eat, or I would be like so stressed out, I'm like sweating or whatever. And with him, it was like we just went to a place called Red Robin. We had fries, and we went to go see a movie, and that was like the most comfortable date I've ever been on. And so that's when I knew that like this was like somebody else. It was somebody special. And this is kind of funny, but the first movie we saw together was the least sexy movie in the world. It was Contagion when it first came out, which is like about a pandemic, basically. It was the worst because we were like at the end, we were like, initially we wanted to like kiss and stuff, but at the end of the movie, we were like, don't touch me, like we're gonna get sick.
So
But
funny.
yeah, and then we've been together pretty much ever since. Like that was kind of it at that
What's
point.
his name?
His name is Zach.
Zach. You were a
Yeah.
big prize, Zach. I can see through his eyes
Yes.
shining now. You're a big prize. Remember that, okay?
Appreciate him
Remember
so
that,
much.
Zach.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet, very sweet. Right, I have 3 questions left for you, okay? Let's do it. Right, next question is, right, are you a cat or a dog person? And if you could be an animal, which one that would be and why?
A good question because I am both. So initially I was a dog person. I actually grew up with Saint Bernards. I don't know if you know the breed.
Which one?
Saint Bernards. They're
Big one.
big,
Yeah,
brown and white.
yes, yeah. They're very
Yeah.
famous for the cold, when they're in the cold, like holding the
Yes,
thing.
they've got
Yeah,
the
yeah.
barrel under them, the Alps. It's rescue dogs. So my dad would he I can't even remember how we got the first one, but he would actually we bred them and sold the puppies. So at one point we had like 13, 12 Saint Bernards, and which is they're giant dogs. They're so big. Um, so I grew up with these dogs that were so sweet and so kind, and I loved them so much. Um, and then when I got into school, I adopted this little corgi mix, who has passed away since, but he helped me through this like really tough time that I had. Like when I was in school, I felt really isolated and alone, and I just I had a really hard time like balancing school life and like personal life, and so this dog was kind of there to like keep me company, and I just loved him so much. And then when I met Zach, my friend, she had recently come back from a job in Georgia, and she had found this alley cat that was, she didn't know at the time, was pregnant. So she was like, I need people to take these kittens because there's so many. So we were like, okay, well, we did want a pet, but we technically only wanted one, but now I guess we'll do two maybe because there's a brother and sister, and maybe they'll grow up and keep each other company. So we got these two cats, Tonks and Sashimi, and they're really sweet. They're really lovey. Tonks, the boy, can be pretty crazy at times. He's very food oriented, food motivated. I don't love that there's litter boxes in my house now. Like, I really don't like that. We keep it clean. We do everything that we need to do, but I prefer taking a dog out and having them do their stuff outside. Feels a little cleaner to me personally, but they're sweet and they're actually kind of dog-like in some ways, which is kind of fun. So I guess I'm both. Right now I'm a cat person, but I really want a dog again. Like, I love how like warm and like sensitive, like they're intuitive to me, which cats can be too sometimes, but it's different. It's different for sure.
Cats, they have a different way of loving you. You know what I mean? It's a different way of showing their loves. You know what I mean?
It's more transactional for them.
Yeah, they say that dogs, they adapt to people, and cats, they adapt themselves to places, and it makes sense. Yeah. And which animal would you like to be if you could?
That's a good question. So at one point I thought like a giant cat or something, but I'm too sensitive and soft to be like a predator. So I'm like, well, what is something else that would be like kind of like a vegetarian almost? I'm honestly like, I know that they're technically also predators, but an otter. I know that like they just seem like they're having such a good time, like a good life all the time. They're like floating around, doing little loops, and they're playing with stuff, and they're just so adorable. So probably that, yeah.
All right.
Seems like a simple life.
2 questions left. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Good. Next question for you is, what makes you the saddest?
I've just had a lot of joy lately, so it's hard to like pinpoint a specific thing that makes me sad. Like the world, I would say, like
Mhm.
uh, the way people treat each other, the amount of hate that's going on in a lot of spaces. It makes me sad that people are unable to connect in a lot of ways because I don't, like I said earlier, like I don't think that if we truly knew each other, we would have as many differences and as many issues with each other. But there's people out there that are kind of pushing this prejudice and this anger, and that kind of makes me the most sad, I would say. Like we don't need to be like this to each other. I've grown up in households that are angry, and so I know what that does to a person. And I
Mhm.
even was angry at times. Like I've growing up, I have my dad's genes in me, so it's easy to get to that place. But yeah, I hope it makes me sad that more people don't have therapy.
And the flip side, what makes you the happiest?
um
I know the answer, Zach.
yes, like honestly, anytime we go anywhere with him, like we went to France, we went to Paris, the same trip that we went to London, and we had an issue when we first got there. I'll tell you this kind of short story. So we were on the plane from coming from Seattle to Paris is like so many hours, like 20 or
Yeah.
something. We had a layover. It took even longer. I would probably try not to do a layover next time if I can. I don't know if that's possible, but oh, it took so long because the flight was delayed. They couldn't find a pilot for the first flight. So everything was like pushed back and we were stressed out the entire time. We get to Paris, the train's not working in the Charles de Gaulle or whatever. So we have to take this weird bus all the way to this like off skirt of Paris. And from there, we need to take a train to central Paris. During that time, we're trying to like figure out like how we carry all of our giant bags and we have to pay these like tolls or whatever. Um, we get to Paris, we're like trying to figure out where we were. Meanwhile, I ate something bad on the flight, so my stomach hurts. There's no bathrooms in Paris, basically. There's like some, but like you have to like pay for them. We didn't have money yet, so we were like a complete mess. Um, we got to this train. This guy like rattles Zach's bag, and we're like, "What is going on?" Like we thought he was maybe in the way. Turns out he was actually pickpocketing Zach. He
Oh
loses his wallet. We don't have
my
like
God.
yeah. So he's like stressed out the entire time. We have no way of like finding this person. He ran out once the doors closed on the train. So I luckily kept my stuff. It wasn't his passport, thankfully, but like even though we went through all of that, I would say that the second day we were there was rough. But after that, like we were able to just have a good time. Like we always figure that there's ways to solve any problem. Like we have Venmo, we have all these ways now to like transfer money or to transfer identity, or like he can even like talk to his bank and everything. He had his passport, so he still had his ID pretty much. So like nothing really takes us down for too long when we're traveling. We don't like dwell on stuff a lot of time, and we just like to like explore where we are. And he's the most comfortable person to do that with because we're just both like, what do you need right now? Can do you want me to go out for you? Or do you want to like stay in? Or like even like we'll do days where we'll just stay in the hotel, not even do anything. And like that's just that's the exact type of vacation that I love. Like we just even if we have a problem, we can get through it. And that always makes me the happiest. Yeah, traveling with him.
Amazing. I can see him right now smiling, watching this.
Feel
Ready for the last?
better.
Yes. Zach, on you, not the pressure.
Yeah.
Ready for the last one?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Last question. Right. Before the last question, through those beautiful arts that I was looking your profile, yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me a piece of art, your favorite that you go like, you know what, this one, it's the one that's, is your special one or your favorite for some reason. Which one that would be? I know it's difficult, but if you could pick just
Difficult.
one
Uh, um,
for any reason.
yeah. So there's a piece I did recently. Um, it was for Valentine's Day this year. this past year for the World Cup. It's called Vulnerability. It's this piece where this guy is blindfolded, his hands are tied behind his back, and there's all of these like limbs of other men kind of intertwined with him. And I remember thinking like, so this is kind of the piece that really that gave me the courage to switch my name, because throughout my life I've sort of kept my two lives separate. I've kept my personal life with my family and everything. This is one type of Joel that exists, and then there's this other person who's kind of more free with himself, more gay, more accepting of himself. And these two people kind of existed simultaneously. And this piece was kind of centered around like putting yourself in this position where you're going to be very vulnerable, very like, having the blindfold represented this like, I don't even know how to put it, like just putting yourself out there and letting whatever happened to you, even though you can't see it, like happen. And it's this very like sexually charged piece, which it's something that would scare like the daylights out of me to do normally. And to put my name associated with it as well is something that also brought me a lot of fear. When I was growing up, obviously I talked about the, the fear of like seeing that type of sexuality and seeing like my parents were very angry. So I got a lot of anger towards, homosexuality, like homo people having sex or whatever. So it was a very like it was a very personal piece to do and to put out there into the world. And I'm glad that people have been like receptive to it. And when I was showcasing my art at this gay bar, they were very like, that was the first piece that everybody like went to, and I could tell that like people I think were catching on to the depth of the piece. I tried to put a lot of like effort into it. Yeah, so I think that would be the one, at least recently, that I always go to in my head. Like that's the person I want to be. That's the kind of art that I want to make. I mean, obviously, I have a lot of different tastes, but I'm really proud of that one, I think. Yeah.
Amazing. All right. Last question is, if you could meet yourself when you were 15 years old again, which advice would you give to yourself?
Save more money. make a savings account for your retirement. I'm not bad with money, but I'm very like, I've got it so I can use it sort of deal. I've definitely started saving more, but like I feel like I'm doing good on my personal life. I'm doing good on my art life, and like just keep trucking on that, and try to save a little bit more money because I know you're gonna need it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, you're doing good.
Amazing. Let's save money. Let's save money.
Yes.
Right, it's not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game, okay? I'm going to give away some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Big thank you. Let's start with life.
Love.
Money.
Power.
Family.
Complicated.
One word for love.
Zach.
Ooh. One word for sex.
Zach.
Like the way you said, no, Zach.
A little sultry.
Ooh. Politics.
Stupid.
Religion.
Fearful.
Fear.
Religion.
I didn't say that. Friendship.
Love.
Desire.
Fun.
Regret.
None.
Success.
Money, I guess.
Okay. Wish.
More success, I guess.
Okay. Happiness.
Staying home.
One word for Seattle.
Beautiful.
One word for Disney World.
Fun.
One word for Aladdin.
The best. Well, best.
Okay. One word for character. I was about to say illustrator, but it's not illustrator. It's character is
Designer.
designer. Yeah, one word
Yeah.
for character designer.
Creative.
Okay. And the last one now, if you could put all your arts together, all of them, like, you know, if you could define in one word your art, your creativity, what that would be?
Oh, that's so hard. I would say diverse.
Good one.
Yeah.
Let's pretend I'm going to fly all the way to Seattle to meet Zach, and I'm gonna go for coffee with Zach, and I'm gonna ask him, Zach, tell me, define Joe in one positive word and one negative word only. What he would say.
This is gonna sound conceited, but he's gonna say probably something along the lines of beautiful and scared.
Interesting. Let's play now, Joe, in the magic box, and you can ask me a question. All right, so you can ask me a question now.
What is your favorite fairy tale and why?
Favorite what, sorry?
Fairy tale?
Fairy tale. Good question, actually. My favorite fairy tale and why? You put me in the spot, Joey. Wow, you put me in the spot. I was expecting this this question. Fairy tale. Oh my God, what a good question. I haven't thought about that. You know what? I'm gonna give you an answer to you, maybe unexpected.
Okay.
You know what? I went to see The Little Mermaid the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, the new one.
And actually, I'll tell you something now. I quite enjoy actually the story behind. You know, I liked the way it was, the movie was put it, and you know, the I don't know. I just liked it. It's something that you know, when you think about fairy tale, there's so many things that comes to your mind. There's so many, you know, stories and, you know, fairy tale that you go like, you know what, I could connect with that. But for some reason, I went there to watch the movie without any expectation. You know, I said, okay, I'm gonna watch this movie to see, and I liked it. I liked it. I really did. You know, I had a great time, and I really got captured by the story. You know, this, you know, the Little Mermaid, just, you know, color as well. You know, so there's things I just like it, and it gave me. It just I was fascinated about the movie itself. Yeah, just was fascinated. And it brought me back a little bit for Disney World as well, from my experience in Disney. I was like, oh my God. So yeah, I would say right now, I would say a Little Mermaid. For some reason, it just got the beautiful man, the beautiful prince there, and she wasn't allowed to be out there. Her dad was very, you know, I mean, tough with her. But okay, I'm gonna tell you now. You know, she was very brave. She was very brave to break that, you know, prohibited thing and just go. She was curious. She was the curiosity brought her to the place where she meant to be, about being curious. That's something that I'm fascinated about, when people are curious, you know, any, like, in different things. And that's what got my attention. She was brave. She kind of broke the whole thing and just went after instincts. And there was the whole story. So yeah, that was
great answer.
Yeah, that was something that brought me, you know, I was inspired at the time.
It's a great fairy tale, actually. That was the first Disney movie that I saw, was the original Little Mermaid. And I remember I got like this Little Mermaid Barbie, and I was just so obsessed with it. And thinking back now, it does kind of feel like the Little Mermaid itself is kind of like a story about not fitting in a way. There's definitely some allegory to like being an outsider and trying to become this other thing for somebody, that, you know, it's interesting if you think about it in that perspective. It does kind of feel like, you know, coming from a different community and trying to, you know, expose your vulnerabilities in that way. So yeah, it's cool.
And back to the beginning of the interview when you were talking about your childhood memories where you couldn't fit anywhere and it was a bit, you know what I mean? And back the same thing as, and it's the funny thing is, I believe, you know, when you're growing up, you don't understand about those, you know, stereotype that need to fit here, fit there.
Yeah.
There are all those things. But actually, for example, myself, when I become an adult, I think the best part of the best part of being yourself is not fitting anywhere. You know,
Yeah.
nowadays I think that's the good part. It's just being a weirdo. When I find myself in a different place that I don't fit in, I feel happy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You know, even
Yeah.
though you can explore, you can be part of those, you know, tribes, which is fascinating. But when you go like, you know what, I don't know I don't know, I don't fit anywhere. It's about being different, being weirdo.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. But when you're growing up, you don't see that.
Yeah.
You know?
You just want to fit in. That's all you want when you're growing
Yeah.
up.
There's stereotype posts there, but you know, nowadays I just feel like I don't wanna fit anywhere. I just wanna be different.
Just be weird and unique.
Yeah,
Just be
absolutely.
you.
Joy, did you enjoy the interview?
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, thanks again for having me on. This is my first time doing anything like this, so
Easy.
I haven't interviewed with anybody before, but yeah, this is fun.
There we
I could do
go.
this for a while.
There's always a first time, you know. You're gonna have other
Yeah.
interviews in the future. You're gonna go like, you know what? My first interview was in William in the Magic Box.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for
Thank
taking the
you.
time. Oh my God, that was fascinating about the coincidence that we both work for Disney, and you know,
Yeah, so cool.
I felt like talking to someone who knows what I mean. Like, you know, when you talk to someone that's been
Yeah.
there before. So fascinating. Thanks so much for being so kind and so open as well, and talk about, you know, your life overall. I think that's fascinating to hear people. Before you go, if you can share a positive message or anything that you live by.
Oh, my motto used to be, if you don't have a crown, make your own, which was essentially like, you know, we make up all of these things. Kind of RuPaul talks about it too, where like, you know, you're born naked and the rest is drag. So like all of these like statuses that people have and like this elevation of like success, it's all made up. You know, we kind of make this happen. So just own yourself and like own who you are and just keep going. Keep going.
Amazing. Very good. Thanks so much. Enjoy your weekend and you keep in touch, okay? It was a pleasure.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so
Take
much.
care. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why would you like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye-bye. See you next time.